The Battle RORQUAL idea is nothing new. It's been
How are
out
you
for
feeling
quite a
about it?
while now, and I've done a couple videos on the Battle RORQUAL. It had some very nice DPS. I think I crossed about 10,000 DPS with the RORQUAL. Surprisingly, a lot of DPS for a industrial ship. Now, there is one thing that I haven't done, and that is a nuclear bomb RORQUAL. Now, what is a nuclear bomb RORQUAL? How do you turn this ship into a bomb? Well, a couple months ago we have received the mining enhancement implant, which is a implant for basically industrial purposes, for industrial ships. A very good implant, very solid one. And if you like mining, then that implant is definitely very helpful. But I like to turn that implant, I like to turn the industrial implants into combat implants if possible, and thankfully the mining enhancement implant has some very interesting attributes that I would like to show you. Now, I've had this idea for, I don't know, for maybe a couple months, but I've never really had, not the time, but didn't really have an alt where I can actually test things on. And now I have two accounts that I can roll in the test server, so it will be fun to see how this will work. So here you can take a look at the level 45 active skill. The level 45 skill will give you extra 15% damage to cargo hull destruction to the cargo hull destruction effect, and the level 30 attribute gives you a 10% damage. A total of 25%, but it is also limited to the amount of hull that your ship has. So definitely, it's a very interesting idea, but the problem with this would be the lower damage output that it does. And I believe at one point this will be buffed, definitely should be. Can theoretically have a lot of, let's say, potential, but at the same time I can kinda see why the damage is so low, because they definitely don't want to turn industrial ships into portable bombs for PvP. That would be kinda hilarious, although technically you can do that even with the current effects, but it will be interesting to see this in practical use if possible. It also does give you some structural resistance and other bonus. So overall, it's a very useful implant for industrial ships, and that's also why I think a lot of players are using it. Although I personally am not a miner, so I don't really have the implant. Now, since the implant's effect says that the larger the signature radius, the greater the range, I decided to slap 8 capital extenders. Now, do not, this is just me fooling around with your ship, and this is definitely not the build that I would use on a nuclear bomb RORQUAL, although kind of funny. This is a very expensive nuke, that's for sure. And I'll explain how I imagine that it would work, because it would be kind of funny to go through all that. Now, unfortunately, when I looked at the hull rigs, there is no capital hull rigs. I was looking for the capital 3 mark structure pump, or well, hull pump. I don't know how it would be called, but it is unfortunately not available. It is available for subcapitals, but no, for none of them is available for capitals. Not really sure if that's because of the implant, or if this is basically because they didn't imagine capitals to have a hull tank. I don't know. I would say maybe because of the implants that we have no rigs that enhance the hull volume, but maybe it will be added down the road. That is kind of a disappointing little moment that I saw. I really expected to see hull rigs, but unfortunately they are not there. But for shield and armor, you have them. You have basically all the necessary rigs for shield and armor, but you don't have that for structure, for hull. So I guess I'll have to go with being more creative for for the build, I guess. This is just a test run to see if it even works the way I want it to work. Now, as for the other rigs, I looked at the cargo hold rigs, but I don't think cargo hold rigs will do anything, honestly. They don't seem to be that important, and there is no other rig that I would say is going to be beneficial for a nuclear bomb RORQUAL. So basically, if you do plan to build any in the, doesn't have to be RORQUAL, the RORQUAL is very expensive. I just want to see how much damage it does, if it even does any damage. But the thing that is kind of funny, you can technically create very cheap bomb ships, very cheap bomb ships that you can just yeet at the enemy fleet and kill them, and then the whole thing blows up alongside with the fleet. So technically, it's a very interesting idea and can be done with much cheaper ships. Doesn't have to be a RORQUAL. This is just, you know, hilarious because I've had this in my mind for a while, and I just wanted to see it through, to see what happens. Morbid curiosity kinda got the best of me before deciding what video to do next, and I decided to do a nuclear bomb RORQUAL. So 1000 meters the signature radius increase per extender, although 477 meters is per my extender, which, you know, is still a decent increase. Still has like 13 kilometer signature radius. Maybe a micro warp drive alongside with like 8 of these extenders would definitely increase the signature radius even more. So that's also one of the things that I could do, and this works basically with any. Doesn't have to be a industrial ship. Basically, a good nuclear bomb ship is a ship that has a lot of hull. And I think industrial ships have a lot of hull, but basically this works on any ship that we have in the game. Now I'm just looking at the modules to see if there is anything else that I can do to increase the, well, what is there to increase? Basically to increase the signature radius, but there is none of that available at the moment. So let's see how this works. Now there's like several tests that I have to do. Basically, one of the tests is, does it work if your cargo hold is empty? I'll be doing tests with a empty cargo hold, with the implant on, with the implant off, and I'll also be trying out the bomb tactic with the ore hold being full, and I'll also try out to see how it will work on a different ship. So the implant description doesn't really state if the ship's cargo hold has to be full.
Warp drive active.
So I assume that the cargo hold doesn't matter if it's empty or full, that when the ship explodes, that it explodes and that it does damage around the area, basically 10-kilometer area around our target. However, if I do find something that I didn't know before creating this video, then I will definitely do a follow-up after this, just to see, just to show the things where I did wrong, or if I did forget something. Now I'll use a Megatron Striker for DPS, because why not? I figured out that ship is the easiest to fit, and with that being said, let's just blast the RORQUAL. So the Megatron is about 3 kilometers away from me, well within the blast radius of the nuclear bomb RORQUAL. Well, if it even blows up as a nuclear bomb, because maybe it doesn't work the way I want it to work. In any case, it's going to be fun to see this ship blow up, so yeah. But the goal is to basically see how much damage it will do to the ships nearby in a 10-kilometer radius. Now, how did I even imagine that this will work? Well, I had the idea that you can rig and build a bunch of throwaway ships, basically as cheap as possible, very cheap ships that you would use to drop on the enemy fleet, and then you basically shoot those ships to kill them to do area damage. Now, sounds nice on paper, sounds interesting on paper, would definitely be a very interesting and hilarious tactic if the bomb effect was just much more. We would definitely see much more of the mining implant being used in this way if the damage effect was just much greater. But I mean, I kind of want to see that in action, to be honest. That would be kind of funny. Definitely a funny idea. So the other solution would be to somehow get the ship with as much hull as possible to be a bomb, because if you're already doing like 10 to 25% of your ship's hull, and of course that's explosive damage, then technically if you have a lot of hull, you will still do a lot of damage to subcapitals. So technically could be used to clear subcapital fleets, but at the same time ships that have a lot of hull cost quite a bit, so not really a cost-effective thing to do to just yeet around RORQUALs for bombs. It sounds hilarious, it is hilarious, but I mean, it's a very expensive nuke, that's for sure. That's why I'm saying that we would probably need some cheaper ships. Maybe, well, I say cheaper ships. The first thing that falls to my mind to be capital and cheap is a freighter. A freighter maybe could technically be used as a bomb, since they're not that expensive. They're like 10-15 billion. Kinda sounds funny that I'm saying not expensive, but it costs 10-15 billion. It's much cheaper than a RORQUAL for sure. I think it has about the same amount of hull, maybe. I think maybe they have less because they're freighters. They're usually hollow because they are made to haul materials, but it should be about that. I think very close. Should be. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll have to double check that when I log in the game. But that would be kind of a funny idea. That's a fun idea. That I like. So I talked about the implant not specifying if your cargo needs to be full or empty. Technically, if you have an empty cargo hold and your ship explodes and you dump debris, the cargo is, well, the rack is empty, so it should still do damage. I'm not really a fan of the vague descriptions of the implants, because sometimes you really have to like get the implant and play around with the implant to actually figure out how it works. Just how the scanners sometimes work in a different way. For some players, when you click on a scanner, it doesn't notify anyone, but it notifies when you actually scan them down. In my case, when I click on a scanner, that's the moment when it notifies. That's, you know, some of the things within the game that kind of don't make sense, and there are some inconsistencies between all of the things that are currently present in the game. Not necessarily bad, but you know, it is sometimes annoying when you really have to like figure things out. Instead of the game having a description, you have to basically sit in the ship and do it yourself, because the description is weird, which is the case with this implant. So that's why I'm doing a couple tests to see what's the case. Could actually be even bugged. I wouldn't be surprised if it is bugged. But again, in the comments down below, feel free to tell me what you think about the whole nuclear bomb RORQUAL idea, and if I did something wrong, if I missed something. I'm very curious if I did miss something. I have my theories that I have established. I'm looking for answers basically, so we will see what will happen. Because I'm kind of confused at some of the results that you will see within this video, and I don't have the implant on the live server, so I have no idea if I did something wrong or if the game just decides not to work. Maybe I don't. This is what I'm talking about. That's the thing that I was talking about, basically. Finally, we reached armor on RORQUAL. The having like 8 extend. This is actually kind of hilarious to see it. This is a very cursed ship, by the way. Basically, the idea was to increase the signature radius as much as possible, so that the range of the explosion is having a wider area of effect. Although now I'm actually fairly sure. Did some I asked a friend in the background here. They told me that the implant's effect should take effect. Doesn't matter if the cargo hold is empty or full. Should do area damage even when the cargo is empty. So that kind of solves that problem, I guess. But again, maybe this is the case where the effect isn't the same for everyone, which does happen quite often lately. There are some things about the game that confuse me a lot, because it doesn't match with everything else that we know. In any case, we are now in Hull. Also, I like how the mining implant, the all-45 attribute basically turns on itself once you hit Hull. So apparently it seems to be working so far. I also like the effect of the RORQUAL around the ship. Very interesting. I haven't had a chance to see this in action so far. This is the first time I'm seeing this. And let's take a look at the resistances. 83, 83, 83, and 83. Kind of reminds me of the panic mode. Although the panic mode is something else, something different. But this is actually kinda close to it. So, the moment of truth. Am I going to be doing damage to the RORQUAL? Well, to the Megatron Striker. That's why I have the Megatron Striker window over there in the corner, just to show you both perspectives, because I think it's kind of funny and kind of unique that I'm doing here. I haven't done this so far. This is, by the way, definitely not my. This is not my last time I test this out, because if I miss something, or if it was bugged, or or something similar, I'm definitely going to repeat the test, because I really want to see how much damage it would do. I can technically do the math. I mean, 25% of half a million of half a million would be about 125,000 explosive damage around a 10-kilometer radius, which is not that bad actually. Hit several of these ships and you might even have a million alpha explosive damage to targets in a 10-kilometer radius. So technically can work. The problem is the cost. It really costs a lot to pull something off like this. This is why I'm saying that multiple smaller ships with the same idea could technically get the job done with a much cheaper price tag. Now the implant, it's also specified that the implant has to work in order for the damage to occur, and the RORQUAL is dead. Well, where's the damage? Where the hell is the damage? I feel robbed. Now the effect is definitely there. The explosion and the animation is definitely there. This is how the implant looks when it's active. The blue fire basically from the ship is indicating that the effect was in place. Yeah, the implant is still there. The Megatron took no damage, was in range. So okay, I would say that this is well, I don't think I did anything. The only thing that I could potentially have done wrong here is I didn't turn on the implant, the primary attribute. Perhaps the primary attribute has to work in order for the explosion to actually do something, but the explosion was definitely present there. The effect was definitely present there, but it did no damage to the Megatron, and it dropped some loot. The cargo wasn't empty, by the way, so kind of funny and kind of weird what happened here. Anyway, let's actually try the same thing with a different ship. So currently the ships with the most hull in the game are super capitals. They reach well over a million hull hit points. And as I already said before, the implant does have a effect on all ships. If you blow up an Amar ship, not Amar ship, but a shuttle, the explosion should be there and should do damage. If you blow up a cruiser, it should be there. If you blow up a super capital, you should be doing damage even with that. So yeah, let's just go back to the skill one more, to the implant one more time. So this time the mining enhancement will be active because I done no damage. I assume that I made a mistake of not turning on the implant, the primary attribute basically, the primary skill. So this time in this test the skill will be active. Now this thing has about 1.5 million hull hit points, so that should be around 375,000 explosive damage done when this ship explodes. So that's about the damage I would expect to get. Now I'll be using, in order to kill this thing faster than RORQUAL, I will eat a Hell at Wyvern. The Wyvern will have no modules, no tank. It will basically be paper just sitting there to get killed. So my plan with the RORQUAL failed. Possibilities for the failure: bug, I didn't turn on the implant. I would say I didn't turn on the implant. That's what I'm thinking right now. Two options, or maybe there is a third option or a fourth option that I'm not aware of at the moment. Now, the cargo hold, I mean, I'm also fairly certain that there is a good chance that the cargo hold has to be full in order for damage to take effect. If that's the case, I'll just add that at the end of the video, since I really wanna cover everything, so I'll be covering that as well. Probably we'll be doing another test after I finish recording, after I finish voicing this part actually, just to see what happens. Maybe I did miss something, but time to see if it will work with a Wyvern. Again, it should work on all ships. Didn't see any limitations anywhere. Well, maybe I think there's no limitations to this, because any ship basically should get this effect up and running. So there's the Wyvern, and time to open fire, I guess. Although this is definitely not I mean, it is definitely a big nuke, an expensive one, but yeah, using a super carrier at the moment for this type of action, I really would say it's a good idea, because these things cost a lot. Someone actually, I asked around how much is a super carrier in dollars. Basically, I think it was like $10,000 or something, like a car or something similar. I was kind of blown away. It now feels different to fly this ship, because I'm flying. There's 20,000 USD on screen right now, so yeah, kind of scary when you think about it. Anyway, let's lock on the Wyvern and let's set the Wyvern on fire. Should be fast, after all I'm using I have no tank with this thing basically, so it should get just torn to shreds. within a minute or something, the implant is now active. The implant is online. I also like how the wyvern appears to be much larger than the Hell. It's kind of funny when you have these two ships side by side. And I'm also, if I sound sleepy, it's 4 a.m. right now, and I don't know how I am awake. We'll probably just drop asleep when I finish recording this. What is this? Okay, never mind. I was looking something else in the background. Hell is hell. The wyvern is at
Shield damaged.
27%, 27% shield. $1.7 million in hull. Okay, that's a lot of hull base, by the way. That's a lot of hull on this thing. Kinda shame that there is no hull rigs. I would really love to have hull rigs. I mean, doesn't really have to be an expensive ship for the job. Basically, any ship with hull rigs, with hull volume, basically, and that's all that you need in order to get this idea up and running. Now, I don't know if they will buff this down the road. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's something that it is something that I think about occasionally from time to time, thinking about what could they change next in terms of implants, especially implants that
Armor damaged.
are not really made with the combat aspect in mind. Although surprisingly, I think the mining enhancement implant is it has the most potential to be used for combat. As I mentioned before, it can be used like for a bomb, a RORQUAL bomb, or well, the RORQUAL is a nuclear bomb, and what would be the wyvern then? The supercarrier. If the RORQUAL is a nuclear bomb, I think the wyvern would be a antimatter bomb, because the antimatter bombs are much more lethal than nuclear bombs. I think maybe that's how it should be. Okay, so the wyvern is now in hull. And the mine enhancement also kicked in. The level 45 attribute kicked in. Kinda interesting, something also came in. If you combine the money enhancement implant, a very good. Actually, you can get a hull tank. We really do need capital hull rigs, because you could technically get a hull tank super capital if we had some hull rigs for capitals, which obviously we don't have them at the moment, unfortunately. I'll wait for the implant to recharge so that I can get the maximum effects from the explosion, if the explosion even happens. So far, we haven't been successful at creating a explosion upon the ship's actually, there was an explosion, just didn't do any damage. That's kind of what disappointed me. I really expected some nice fireworks. well, nice fireworks. We had some nice fireworks for sure, but I expected more, you know. I just wanted to see if this was a viable idea. Just a couple more seconds to wait for the implant to get out of cooldown, and then we can just delete the wyvern from existence, and then we will see if there is going to be any damage done on this thing, on the hell, that is. Well, since tomorrow is Monday, okay, if this ends up being a bug, I will definitely try to get the developers to fix not only this but some of the other problems, because they were on a vacation and they are back now, so time for me to get a bit busy with reporting bugs and relaying feedback, the thing that I usually do. Alright, let's see. The wyvern dead, no damage done on the hell. This is getting a little bit frustrating for me here. So this time the implant was active, everything was active. The explosion is different, as you can see. The implant did take effect, but it did do no damage to anything. Well, okay. That is kind of a... oh boy. Well, let's try the third option. So, cargo was full the first time, but there was no implants being actively used. Second attempt, cargo was empty. Well, technically empty. Now it had debris inside when it exploded, so technically not empty, but the implant was active. But in both cases, we didn't manage to do any damage to surrounding ships. Not even the fighters took damage. So let's go with the third option. I'll just gear out this RORQUAL for mining. Nothing too fancy. I'll just add some drones. I'll just add some mining rigs and just add some a single or maybe two high-spot modules, and that should basically be all that I would need for this test. So let me find some remote shield boosters. Maybe I have to lock something on in order to do some damage. I'll assume that there is a unknown value that I'm missing here, so I'll just try to cover everything I can until I get a new idea, and then maybe I will figure it out. Again, as you can see, obviously I am no mining pilot. I'm someone who doesn't mine. I have no idea how that works. I'm not even going to pretend like I know how mining works. Like, this is just no. Just nope. I have no idea how mining works. It's just not my territory. But I sure know how to utilize mining ships for other nefarious purposes. In the purpose of destroying other ships, to be more precise. So, the third test. Let's see if this works. This time I have some drones. Have the mining implant. The implant will be turned on. Will be working all the time. The drones will be mining, and the megaphone will be killing the ship. So maybe this is what I have to do in order to do damage to the surrounding areas. No, the damage is actually limited to 10 ships. You can do damage to more than 10 ships, or I would say perhaps more than 10 objects. Well, I say object because the drones are also probably counted as ships. Fighters also probably counted as ships, although one fighter squad has multiple fighters. If they count the individual fighter, which I don't think that's the case, because that's just visual. I think the fighter, when you look at the fighter squad, that's just visual, I believe. The fighter squad is kind of counted as one single entity. Should be, at least. I don't know. I'm just saying how it should be. I have no idea if it's counted as a single entity or not. Hopefully it is. Hopefully that, because that would help the
We're
game run
under
better, I guess.
attack.
And this time I have no extenders, so the RORQUAL should get destroyed very quickly. The drones are now mining. They're actively filling up the cargo hold. So Implant active, drones are mining, the ship is active, Implant is active, everything is active, so this should be fun. We will see what will happen to the Megatron. Now, technically the Megatron should withstand an explosion. It should do about 45,000 damage to Megatron, which should technically just reach like low shield with a single explosion. That's about the amount of damage that it should do. So it can survive a full blast from a RORQUAL. A supercapital explosion could theoretically kill it. Now, the thing that I had in mind earlier, if you combine the mine enhancement
Shield
implants,
damaged.
and basically if you add the energizer damage control, you can actually get a very nasty hull tank on the supercarriers. Unfortunately, the tank would be much better if we had dedicated hull rigs for the ships. Basically, you could do one integration where you add one slot, basically dedicate one slot for hull resistance. You can get about 66-70% cold, and then the energizer damage control working for 5 minutes, adding to 98-99%, and then you also have the mining enhancement, which theoretically can make your ship not immortal, but it can make your ship take a lot of damage on hull, and that idea is kind of interesting actually. The mining enhancement on 45 with the energizer damage control combined should make your hull last for a very long time. It's one of the ideas that I also had in mind since recently. There was a one of the pilots that I know, that I talk with, that I play with, lost a super capital, and that kind of made me think about ways of improving a glass cannon super capital. Basically, the requirement for that would be to have hull rigs for capitals. One integration to be dedicated for hull resistance would be more than enough. Will allow the super capital to basically wipe out the whole dreadnought fleet, or at least wipe out most of them, since the super capital basically pops the dreadnoughts if built properly. So that's been on my mind for quite a while now, honestly.
Armor damage.
And I'll have to find a solution to that. That's one of the things that I find interesting. I mean, I haven't really been playing with them quite recently, but we used to share the same home system at one point, and we used to camp in the same region, and that player is very respected. One of the best players that I know. So I definitely have to find a way to make the whole tank on the super capitals much better. With the currently available rigs and implants, I'll figure something out. Basically, the goal is to make a glass cannon last much longer than usual. I can definitely get something up. I can definitely figure something out. That's what I like to do. Find solutions to problems, basically. So now we are in hope, and this ship went down much faster. This time I'll just go and eat the ship. Well then, implant active, cargo hold definitely full now. It has it has stuff inside, so shouldn't be a problem. And the moment of truth. If I mean, after I finish voicing, I'll definitely do one more test and then add it at the end of the video. Out of curiosity, maybe I did something wrong, but maybe the car has to be full. But I'll find out, I guess. So I'll leave the hole on like 10%. Wait for the cooldown and then click on the lower 45 secondary attribute, and then just yeet the ship until the end. Or actually, yeah, it looks like I'm eating the ship until the end. Well, let's see what happens. And RORQUAL is dead. And the Megathron took no damage again. Oh my
Shield
god.
damage.
Well, so from what I see here, either very bugged or I'm doing something very wrong. So yeah, very confused at the results here. But nonetheless, this was kind of hilarious and funny. Just wanted to share some ideas and wanted to test this out. So far the tests, well, can't really say it was a success. I did no damage to the Megathron, so yeah.
Warp drive active.
This was what I would call a epic failure, because I haven't achieved what I was looking for. So definitely try something one more thing.
How are you feeling, pilot?
And I'll just add that at the end of this video. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this different run with the RORQUAL. It's something that I had in mind for a while, and I just had to do it. Had to see what happens if you try to use the mining implant for combat purposes. In this case, ended up in an epic failure, but I'll find a solution. I'll definitely see what I was doing wrong. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, play safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.
Warp drive active.
We're under attack. Shield damaged. Armor damaged. Shield damaged.